Hello friends, welcome back in the channel of Clinical Care Insight. We started a series of lecture on neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. Till now, we already discussed about the introduction of, you can say, the nervous system. Okay, we seen the parts, we seen the classification. Okay, then we went ahead and we discussed about the structural and functional unit of nervous system, that's called the neurons. Okay, that's called the neurons. Then we seen other cells which is present in the central nervous systems, okay, named as the neuroglial cells, understood. Then we also deal with the layers of central nervous system as well as the spinal cord, okay, and we term them as a meninges. Yeah, we term them as a meninges. Then we discussed about the one of the major fluid, okay, one of the, you can say, the highlighting fluid which is present in the central nervous system environment, and that is called as the CSF, cerebral spinal fluids. So in today's class we will discuss, okay, I would like to discuss about the synapse. Yeah, about the synapse. Okay, so here is our today's outline. First we will deal with the introduction as we are doing in our lectures, okay, and then we will go with the classification, then about the chemical synapse and structure. We will see in the classification that there are types of, you can say, the synapse, okay, and one of them is a chemical synapse. Why we are emphasizing here only on the chemical synapse? Because it is present more, you can say, widely, okay, as compared to the other types. Then we will see this function of synapse after the break. Okay, this lecture will be in a two part. In the first part we will deal with the introduction, classification, okay, chemical synapse and structure, and in the after the break, another part we will discuss about the function of synapse, okay, and what are the, you can say, the problems which can be appear just because disrupt in the synapse, disrupt in the transmission of the synapse. Understood? No problem. So make the heading, write down synapse. You have the previous idea about the synapse. Yeah, synapse is basically a, you can say, the junction. Synapse is basically a junction between the two neurons. Between the two neurons, it's a junction. First of all, we write it. It's a junction. Okay, between. I'm using the shortcut. Don't mind. It's a between the two neurons. Okay, two neurons. If we pay our attention and look at into the, you can say, the environment of the nervous system, then we will come to know that in the central nervous systems there are circuits. Yeah, there are circuits. Okay, you probably studied the circuits in the physics. Yeah, the electric circuits. The same electric circuits is present in our entire, you can say, the central nervous system environment. Okay, and these circuits serve for one special function, and that is called as the communication. Yeah, write it down that in our central nervous system there is a presence of, okay, there is a presence of various, you can say, kind of circuits that we term as a neural circuit. Yeah, that is we term as a neural circuits. Okay, and these neural circuits, they serve for communication. Now the question arises in our mind is that from whom it communicate? From whom it communicate? Then the answer is it's communicate with the other neurons. As you know that majorly your central nervous system is composed of the neurons, isn't it? It's composed of the neurons. It means there are so many neurons, okay, and if you estimate it, okay, there's no exact estimation, but you can say the most widely accepted data is 100 trillion. Okay, 100 trillion. It's a number of, okay, it's a number of neurons which is present in our central nervous system. Yeah, but that much neurons, okay, they communicate by making the neuronal circuit, okay, by making the neuronal circuit. Now, okay, see, this is a one neuron, yeah, and there is another neurons. Okay, suppose this is one kind of neuron, okay, they are oriented like this, okay, but it need to communicate with this neuron so that they can make one kind of, you can say, the circuit. Yeah, they can make the one kind of circuit. If they will communicate, then they will make the one kind of circuit, and this circuit making, okay, this circuit making is done by these synapse. Understood? This circuit making is done by these synapse. Yeah, sometimes they closely make the circuit, okay, and sometimes there is a gap, okay, there is a little gap around 15 mm, okay, around 15 mm gap. Understood? And sometimes there is a no gap, there is a direct connection, okay, not anatomical connections, we term as the physiological connection. Understood? Yeah, so this circuit which is made by the two successive neurons, this is termed as a synapse. Okay, so one of the function of synapse is its help in point to point coordination. Yeah, its help into the point to point coordination, and there are other functions as well which we will discuss in our after the break. But for a while you just understand that these synapses, they are for the special functions, okay, they serve a special function, and that function is first making the neuronal circuit, okay, and enabling, okay, channelizing the point to point coordination. Understood? Then now you can also think, no, if by certain, you can say, somehow these synapses, they will break. Yeah, if this synapse will break, then there is a poor, you can say, coordinations, okay, and if your central nervous system circuits are poorly controlled, means the outward bodily functions, they are going to uncontrolled, no, they are going to uncontrolled. You will see in the case of epilepsy, okay, there is a abnormal firing, okay, there is a abnormal firing in this neuronal circuit, okay, result into the abnormal movements. You can't have control over your body parts. Understood? So the another thing you should remember, okay, it is the synapse is not an anatomical connection, okay, it is not connected by the, you can say, the cell to cell, or we can say by the bones, okay, not a bones. How can the bones present in the brain? It's not possible. Now the thing which we have to remember here is that there is no anatomical connection, there is no involvement of the muscles, no tissue, okay, no any connective layers, okay, it's just because of functional connection. It is a functional connection. So write it down. For the formation of synapse, yeah, for the formation of synapse, there is no anatomical bridge, or we can say the connection. Yeah, and there is a functional connection. Okay, this functional connection is done by the gap junctions, which we will see after a few minutes. We will see what is the mean by the gap junctions, but just write it down. It's a gap junction which serves as a functional connection, Now the another thing, okay, which you write it down is that the memory formation, yeah, the memory formation, they involves synapse formation, okay, they involves synapse formation. Then it's not only limited to only one neuron to another neurons sometimes have to be, you can say, communicate with our muscles, yeah, and that connection between the neurons and the muscles is termed as NMJ junctions, or you can say it as a neuromuscular junctions. Neuromuscular junctions, yeah, it's a neuromuscular junction between, okay, it's a, you can say, kind of friendship between the neurons, yeah, okay, it's a connection between the neurons and muscles. And if somehow this connection become disrupted, result into the diseases, okay, one of the example you can write it about your myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis, okay, it's an autoimmune kind of disease in which there is a, you can say, the problem in the neuromuscular junction. There is a problem in the neuromuscular junctions, okay. Now the another thing about the synapse, okay, you should keep in your mind is that synapses are continuously breaking and forming, okay. It's are continuously breaking and forming, understood? It's continuously breaking, okay, and again new formation, okay, forming. Understood? No problem? Yeah, no problem. Now let's summarize it, what we studied till now. We studied that synapse is a junction between the two neurons, or it can be a junction between the neurons and the muscles. Fine. Now then we seen, okay, what are the functions, why there is existence of the synapse, yeah, why we have to study the synapse. Then we seen that, okay, these synapse, they form the neuronal circuit, in our, you can say, the central nervous system, and these circuits is served for the, you can say, the communication between one neuron to another neurons, yeah. And for by this formation, okay, there is a point to point coordination, the precise coordinations, yeah. And then we seen, okay, fine, understood that the synapse is a junction between the two neurons, okay, it's from the neuronal circuit communication, and this communication is helpful in the point to point coordination, okay. Then we see, okay, this synapse is it's anatomically, you can say, structuralized, or they are functionally sterilized. Then we seen, no, there is no any anatomical, you can say, the connection. If it will be anatomical connection, it's very difficult to break. And if it's difficult to align, because you've seen in the bone healing process, or you can say that when the bone is fractured, then it takes a one kind of appropriate time, one period of appropriate time to heal. And if that same thing, time consuming process is happening in this, you can say, the synapse, then we become very slow. It's become very slow. Yeah, so we need the fast coordination. So for serving the fast coordination, there is no any anatomical connections. There is only a functional connection, which is done by the gap junction. Okay, which is done by the gap junction. We will see the meaning of the gap junction. Then we seen, okay, the synapse is not only limited to the, yeah, between the neurons, one neurons to the another neurons. This synapse also involves the muscles, okay. This neurons also involves muscles, and that is termed as a neuromuscular junction, okay. And there is a problem, sometimes this connections is disrupted, okay, interrupted by some of our own cell, which is drunken, our bodyguard cells, that's immune cells, and result into one kind of autoimmune disease, and that we call it myasthenia gravis, okay. Now this synapse is subject to break and reform, okay, continuously breaking and forming. And one of the point I said, I told you, is the memory formation, okay. Memory formation is kind of synapse formation, okay, synapse formation. I was studying one article, and that article shows when the long-term memory synapse broke, okay, there is a destruction in the mitochondria. There is a loss in the mitochondria. So I just interpreted that, okay, always you can say, creating a memory is not a good thing. It's a loss. It's a loss, okay? It's a kind of loss. So now we can find only on our, you can see the lecture only. We will see ahead about these things later. Now, once we discussed the introductory part, understand the meaning of the synapse, okay, understand the characteristics of the synapse. One thing I forget to tell you, and that is synapse only not help, okay, in making the connection, okay, making the connection. First, I will draw just one functional diagram of this synapse. Suppose you know that you have neurons. Yeah, neurons have nucleus along with the cell body, okay, and they possess the sensitive part, and that is called as the dendrites, okay. Then neurons have one long extension, and this extension is termed as the axon, okay. Axon have the endings, then we referred as a terminal ending. Fine. Now then we have the another neuron. Suppose here their cell body is oriented, okay, and there is a long again axon, yeah, and there is a one nerve endings, or you can say axonal endings, okay. Fine, and there is the dendrites. Yeah, are you recalling the structure of the neurons which we discussed deeply? There's one separate video. If you're not, then go and watch. Yeah. Now, the thing which I want to put in your mind, okay, is that this connection is referred as a synapse, first of all. Okay, the connection here, the axon ending of one neuron is rely on the dendritic part of another neuron, and this connection is referred to as a synapse, okay. And now, till now what we understood that it's help in the connection, point to point coordination. But the modern research says synapse only not transmit the action potential, okay. Synapse, okay, not only transmit the action potential, rather it also process the action potential. Means whatever information, see, it is, you can say, attached with muscle, okay, and there is a, you can say, the receptors on the muscle, okay. Now if I'm just I'm hammering it, okay, and there will be a activation of some of the pain receptor, nausea receptor, okay, and the message is sent via these dendrites to the cell body, then the axon, and then it's again go to the another, and then it reaches in the higher system, okay. You can say the pain center, okay, where the pain is modulated, okay, and appropriate kind of signal is sent. Understood? No problem. Now the thing is, while the action potential, while the message, okay, the message is called as the action potential. Understood? In simple terms, the message which is comes from the, you can say, the glands, organs. Here we are referring as the muscle, okay, and in muscle there is a pain receptors. We hammered it. There is a sensation of pain, and this is went via this cell body, then axon, then another neurons, okay, with the help of synapse, then go into the higher system in the pain receptor. Most of the dull pain is modulated in the spinal cord. Leave it. Now the thing which we have to understand is that while this message is traveling, these synapses, they are not only help to transmit, okay, it's also process, it's measured. Yeah, it's measured the intensity of the pain. We are taking the only example of right now, the pain. So it's measure the intensity of the pain, okay, and it's sending one appropriate kind of the signals, okay, it's sending the one appropriate kind of the signals via which the another neurons will take the right step. Understood? No problem. Now one function you can remember, no, that it also help in the process of the information. It's also help in the process of the information. Now once we understood about the synapse, now come and discuss the classification. The classification is very easy to understand. Okay, it's very easy to understand. So we are now discussing the classification. Okay, now the classification of synapse. The classification of synapse is done, okay, on the two bases, on the two method. Okay, here the basis is two bases. On these two bases, the synapses are divided. One basis is called as the anatomical basis. One is called as the anatomical basis. Okay, no problem. And another is called as the functional basis. Okay, fine. One is called as the anatomical basis, another one is called the functional basis. We've seen the one diagram, no? We've seen that one diagram, that there is a one neuron. Yeah, there is a one neuron, okay? And there is another neuron, and there are dendrites, okay, and they have nerve endings, they make the one kind of connection. So these connections, okay, where the one neuron joined with the another neurons, understood, this connection is kind of the anatomical basis of division. Are you understanding? This type of connection is the basis of anatomical, you can say, the division, anatomical type of classification. So in the anatomical type of class, it's very easy to understand. Why I'm just saying, you see, this is a one possibility. How many possibilities is here? Possibilities. Either the one neuron's axon can rely on the another neuron's dendrites. That's the one possibility which we highlighted already. Yeah. Or the other possibility is that the one neuron, one neurons here only on the dendrites, maybe their nerve endings, they rely on the another neurons directly on the soma, or we can say the cell body. That's the one possibility. Yeah. Or the another possibility is that the one neuron cell body, okay, one neuron cell body, and the another neurons is oriented like this. First their axon is present. Yeah, their axon is present, and then there you can say the cell body is present. Okay, this is different, you can say, the orientation. Now then there may be a connection between this axons ending and this axons ending. See, there are only the three possibilities. And according to that there are names. Okay, according to that there are names. See, if the one, let's come with this easy one. If the one neurons, the first neurons axon endings rely on the another neurons axon ending, or make the connection between the another neuron ending, it means there's a connection between the axon and axon. Okay, yeah, there's a connection between the axon and axon. So this type of neurons we are referring as a axonic synapse. Understood? No problem. Yeah. Now the another possibilities we've seen, okay, this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. The another possibility is that one neuron's nerve ending, or we can say the axonal ending, is rely on the directly on the cell body of another neuron. Okay, so it's a kind of, yeah, the another kind of classification we can refer as a another kind of classification we referred as a axosomatic synapse, because they are relying on the soma. Soma is called, cell body is also known as the soma. Okay, cell body is also known as a soma, so it is called as the axosomatic synapse. Are you understood? No problem. Now the third one, you are wise enough, you can tell me. See, one neuron's axon rely on the another neuron's dendrite. It's a axodendritic synapse. It's a axodendritic synapse. No problem. So these are the three types which is divided on the basis of anatomical. So anatomical classification constitutes the axonic synapse, exosomatic synapse, okay, and exodendritic synapse. No problem. Am I clear? No problem? Yeah. Now come to the functional classification. The functional classification is two types. Okay, it's a two types. The first type, okay, here should only I write. The first type is chemicals. No, electrical synapse, because why I am writing first, I will tell you. Electrical synapse. Okay, and the second type is our chemical synapse. Okay, the first type is the electrical synapse and another type is the chemical synapse. And the basis is the functional. Okay, basis is the functional. In the electrical synapse, okay, there is a direct flow of current from one neuron to the another neuron. Okay, and in the chemical synapse, there is a gap. Okay, because they are taking the gap, I don't know for that reason or why, they are most widely present in our body. They are most widely present in our body, and they are not taking the gap. Okay, they are making direct, you can say, the connection through the gap junction. So they are rare in our body. Okay, they are rare in body, and if you want where they are present, then they are present in the cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle, okay, smooth muscles. Then in some of the part of the GIT, I don't know you heard or not, there is one kind of system that's called the enteric nervous system. Okay, that called as the enteric nervous system. This is a very special kind of system, nervous system, and which is present in the GIT. And on that system there is a electrical synapse. Apart from that, the epithelium of the retina, okay, they also have the electrical synapse. Okay, epithelium of retina. So these are the three locations. First of is cardiac muscle, second one is smooth muscle, GIT, and the epithelium of retina. So once again we are discussing the classification, and we seen that the synapse is divided on the two bases, classified on two bases. The first basis of classification is anatomical. Okay, and this anatomical classification is first of all very easy to understand, and there are three types. Axonic synapse means one neuron's axon ending is rely on the another neuron's axon, and that is referred to as the axonic synapse. Then there is exosomatic synapse. One neuron synapse is directly, you can say, rely on the cell body or soma of the another successive neuron, that we refer to as the exosomatic. Then we have the exodendritic, means the one neuron, the first neuron's axon is rely on the dendrites part of the another neuron. Okay, then we seen that there are functional classification as well. Functional classification is again the two types. One is called electrical synapse, one is called the chemical synapse. The fundamental difference is electrical synapse is fast synapse, okay, and chemical synapse is bit low. And the another distinguishing feature between these two synapses is that the chemical synapse have one gap, okay, while the electrical synapse, they won't have any gap. Okay, and about the electrical synapse, where they are present in our body, as I said, they are rare. They are only confined on the cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, GIT, and the epithelium of retina. Now, generally, if we talking about the synapse, it means we are talking about the chemical synapse. Whenever in the papers, okay, whenever in the research paper, whenever in the textbooks, you are going with the synapse, okay, the idea which immediately, you can say, stuck on your mind is that they are talking about the chemical synapse. Write down. So now onwards, the synapse word is synonymous to the chemical synapse. But No, it's a human tendency. We encounter the lower things. Yeah, but they are also present. Don't forget, the chemical synapse are, I'm sorry, it's the electrical synapse. It's also present. Understood? No problem. Now, it means we have to study the chemical synapse in detail, isn't it? If it is synonymous with the synapse, okay, the interchangeable with the synapse, it means we have to understand it, the chemical synapse in detail. But what we first do, we first just correlate between the electrical synapse and the chemical synapse, and then go in detail of the describing the chemical synapse. Okay, done. Now, we'll take the help of diagram to build our concept about the synapse, the two functional classification of the synapse. One is called electrical synapse, another one is called the chemical synapse. So here I am describing the chemical synapse, okay, by again using the shortcut CS, and then here I am describing the chemical synapse, here I am describing the electrical synapse. Okay, so about, first come to the electrical synapse. Electrical synapse, what is happening? See, these are the axons. Okay, these are the axons, axon ending basically. Okay, don't confuse here. You can make it. Then there is a cell body. Okay, then there is dendrites. Understood? I'm describing just the cut section of the axon. Okay, this is the axon. See, this is the electrical synapse. Okay, this is the electrical synapse. This is the first neuron's axon. This is the first neuron axon. Okay, so in the case of the synapse, we are referring this axon as a presynaptic axon. Pre means first. Okay, so we are referring it as a presynaptic axon. Understood? And since it is comes later, then we are just referring as simply as a post synaptic axon. Now what you are seeing, and these junction, don't forget, this is the electrical synapse is characterized by the one gap junction. No, so this gap junction, this is called as the gap junction. See, there is no any space, they are directly connected. There is no any breakage, they are directly connected. Yeah, they are, why I am making the gap, they are directly connected, and these junctions, they are referred as the gap junction. Okay, so what is happening when the electrical potential, they are traveling through the axonal membrane. Okay, they are directly coming. Yeah, the masses, okay, the action potential which is coming, they through the axonal membrane. Remember, the action potential travels along the axonal membrane. If it's case in the myelinated, then there will be a saltatory conduction. Okay, jumping. Understood? Now, so I'm just simply highlighting it. They are traveling, and just because there is no any gap, they are directly coming. Okay, so there is a less delay, or we can say there is a no delay. So the one of the characteristics of the electrical synapse is that the synaptic delay is no synaptic delay. No synaptic delay. First thing. Second thing is, since it's a no synaptic delay, means the transmission of the masses, transmission of the action potential is a fast. Okay, so we can write it as a fast conduction. It's a fast conduction, but again, it's a rare. No problem. Now come to the chemical synapse. Come to the chemical synapse. Chemical synapse, again, one neuron, axon, ending, yeah, another neuron, okay, that much gap is not needed, no. Okay, so again, this is a presynaptic axon, this is a postsynaptic axon. Okay, now, and between this axon there is a gap. Okay, there is a gap, I will highlight it. Okay, there is a gap, and I don't think I have to write it, but okay, again, fine. It's a presynaptic membrane, not a membrane, it's a presynaptic axon. Okay, this is a postsynaptic axon. Fine, understood. Now, and there's no gap. Okay, just remember the term, no, gap junction. There's a presence of the gap, but there are junks, they are, you can say, linked, yeah, but here there's a presence of the gap, isn't it? But there's no any, you can say, junction, there's no any junction. So this space is referred as a synaptic space. Okay, or generally in textbook you came across the word called as synaptic cleft. Yeah, it's called as the synaptic cleft. Generally the space is 50, I think, nanometer gap. 15 nanometer gap is present between the one neurons and another neurons. Now, we are not only like, if you are using one neuron, another neuron, one neuron, another neuron, then it's difficult to make the conclusions, no. So for that, it is given one special name. This part, the first neurons part of this ending, is referred as the presynaptic membrane. Presynaptic membrane. Yeah, the another neurons part is referred as a postsynaptic membrane. Postsynaptic membrane. Easy, no problem. Now, that's the one characteristics. Okay, these are the characteristics, difference between the one neurons and another neurons. Now, the things which you should remember is that here the endings of the axon, they are carrying very special thing. Okay, they have the plenty of mitochondria, you know, the powerhouse of the cell. They have the mitochondria, and they have one special kind of structure, okay, which make the synapse, you can say, unique, and that structure is called as, yeah, very good, they are called as the round vesicles. Not round vesicles, they are referred as a synaptic vesicles. Fine, no problem. And here inside the synaptic vesicles there are chemicals. Which is sleeping. Okay, which is sleeping. Yeah, I must say it's the sleeping first. Which are sleeping. Okay, and these chemicals are termed as the neurotransmitter. Where should I write it? Yeah, here only. These chemicals, they are referred as a neurotransmitter. Okay, fine. Neurotransmitters. Fine, no problem. Okay. So what we studied, and don't forget, hand by hand I'm also informing, like making you understand what happens exactly. The action potential Okay, the action potential. Why I'm referring action potential, because that for firing of the nerves we need, you can say, a kind of electrical voltage. Okay, we need one kind of electrical voltage so that our nerves will work, otherwise no. So this firing or not firing at all, this is a one law, you probably heard it, that's called the all and non principle. All and non principle. Okay, this laws state that if you provide the adequate strength or voltage of the electrical current, then your neurons will fire, or otherwise it's not fire. If there will be a bit less, you can say, the electrical voltage, your nerves won't respond, it will not respond. So the action potential is the adequate kind of, you can say, the voltage, okay, current which comes to the axons, okay, which comes to the cell body of the neurons and traveling, coming here. When it comes, and there are the channels, okay, and these channels, there are the channels, okay. This channels which I am drawn, it is called as the calcium channel. Fine, these are the calcium channel. When action potential comes, when they stimulate these channels, okay, then there is an influx of, fine, then there is an influx of calcium ion inside the axonal ending. Okay, calcium, this is your what, extracellular, you can say, the fluid, and here the fluid which is present is called as intracellular fluid. Extracellular fluid have the so many calciums, okay, electric potential comes, they open these channels, this is a chemical channel, and there will be a influx of calcium channel. Once the calcium enters in the, you can say, the axonal ending, they stimulate these vessels, and there is a exocytosis of these vessels, there is a rupturance of those vessels and release of neurotransmitters. Now there is a proper story which we will discuss in the second part of this lecture, okay, in the second part of the lecture. But for a while you just understand, once they, you can say, they stimulate these vesicles, okay, calcium mediated exocytosis of synaptic vesicles. Fine. Now if they break, then they bind with this membrane, okay, bind with this presynaptic membrane first, then they come into this environment. Where? In the synaptic cleft. And in the postsynaptic cleft, there is a presence of, there is a presence of receptors. Yeah, there is a presence of receptors. Fine, understanding? Receptor for what? Receptor for receiving this neurotransmitter. This comes in this space, okay. Now I am just showing 1, 2. Fine, it's broken. Calciums, there's a lots of calcium coming in the inside. Fine. Now there's a exocytosis. Now there is a you can say, fusion. These vesicles, they fuse, yeah, and there will be a release of neurotransmitter in this environment. Now these neurotransmitters, they come and bind with their respective receptors. They bind with their receptors, and then once they make the receptor, you can say, the neurotransmitter complex, receptor neurotransmitter complex, okay, then again their axon got activated, and further the message is, you can say, sent. This is a mechanism. Once again, we are discussing the chemical synapse, and we drawn one diagram, and in diagram we seen that the characteristics feature of the chemical synapse is presence of gap, and these gaps which are referred as the synaptic cleft. Fine, understood? Now we can say we specified the membranes. The first neurons membranes we referred as a presynaptic membrane. The second neurons membranes we referred as a postsynaptic membrane. Fine. Then we seen okay, the axon endings, they have the plenty of mitochondria, as well as they have the one, you can say, the vesicles, different vesicles. Fine, understood? They are different vesicles. These vesicles, they are holding a special kind of, you can say, chemical that we refer as a neurotransmitters. Fine. Now what is happening when the action potential they come, they switch on these channels. There are calcium channels, there are sodium channels, voltage gated ligand channels, okay, which we will discuss in our next part of this lecture. But for a while, they activate the calcium channel. There is a influx of calcium from the extracellular fluid, okay, and due to this calcium, these vesicles, this calcium fused with this vesicle, there is the exocytosis of this vesicle, there is a release of neurotransmitter which comes into the synaptic cleft gap junctions, the gap between these two neurons. And now what is happening, these neurotransmitter, they bind with their receptors, and they are making the receptor, you can say, the neurotransmitter complex, and by they activating their further parts, axon, and the message is traveled. No problem, understood. But one thing you also remember, mostly these chemicals, the neurotransmitters, are acetylcholine, ACH. Okay, the first neurotransmitter which is discovered, acetylcholine. Apart from that, on the location wise, there may be the serotonin, okay, there may be dopamine. Fine, there are different types of neurotransmitter are present, okay. And in this area, there is a one, you know, the things always not go smoothly. There is presence of one enzyme, okay. There is a presence of one enzyme, and this is very dangerous enzyme. They break the neurotransmitter, and their name is referred as a cholinesterase. Okay, cholinesterase. They break down the what is called as the acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter, cholinesterase. Okay, acetylcholinesterase. They're breaking this. Okay, we will deal with this. I'm just superficially telling you. Okay, because in this fusion there is exocytosis. There are the mechanism. There are presence of the proteins. Okay, synaptobrevin, and there will be a complex formations, okay, so which we will discuss ahead. Okay, now you are clear with the chemical synapse and the electrical synapse? No problem, understood. Now, so what things till now we discussed? We deal with the introduction, we deal with the classification, okay, we describe the chemical synapse in detail, we seen their structure, understood. Now for the function, you just remember, which we will discuss in our next lecture, the function, two kind of function is done, okay, which we will see in after the break, okay. The two types of function, if we talked about the function, then we will see the two types of function. Either these you can say the chemical synapse, they are excitatory synapse, okay. Either they have the excitatory function, fine, or they have the inhibitory function. Either they are making the one neuron to activate, okay, or either they are suppressing, okay. So these things we will discuss after the break. Bye, thank you.